Welcome to part 4 of Horror Nights history for Halloween Horror Nights 12, Islands of Fear, which was presented in the year 2002 at the Islands of Adventure theme park at the Universal Orlando Resort. In my previous video, part 3, I had been talking a bit about the website for that year's event. Now, it's interesting. It seems to me from reading various Halloween Horror Nights fan forums, such as the late lamented Halloween Horror Nights Vault, oh, I miss you Vault, and of course current sites such as Horror Night Nightmares, HHN Rumors, that it is widely considered by many Halloween Horror Night fans that the website for for 2000 hello Bob, the website for 2002 was probably the worst website in Halloween Horror Nights history. I think that's terribly unfair. After all, at that time, the websites really weren't terribly interactive anyway, and they're comparing them to the more recent website. And certainly if you compare it to the more recent websites in recent years, you know, like 2005, 2006, 2008, it does seem rather lacking. But when you compare it to what came before, well, then it's actually rather impressive. In 2001, 2000, there really wasn't more than just a page with a picture of, say, Jack jumping out of a jack-o'-lantern, or the ICU logo with just the dates and when the event would be, and that was just about it. And then, of course, in 2001, they also switched it around to make it look like Jack instead of Eddie at the after 9/11 occurred, and that was even less than what it had originally. So the 2002 website actually was quite a step forward. It hadn't, of course, it was nothing like what they were able to do afterwards when they had all that flash animation and interesting interactive stuff beginning in 2003 and then especially 2004 and then onwards and forwards. So it's rather unfair. It's like, trying to compare something like a three-master sailing ship to an aircraft carrier. I mean, they didn't have the technology. They didn't, for the time that man-of-war, ship was top of the line, state of the art. So things, evolve over time. In context, historical context, it was in 2002 the best Halloween Horror Nights website compared to what had gone before. And it had given, as I said, information concerning each of the haunted houses and scare zones in detail, which had never been done before. So, to me, that was a definite step up. Now, something else about that website I was going to mention. Oh, yes. You can see, this is the first Halloween Horror Nights website that has been archived. If you go to the website Halloween I think it's Horror Nights BE, and it's horrornights.be. You can find that they have Nick has archived many of the old Halloween Horror Nights websites, and this is the first one that is available, and so you can actually go and look at it today and see it for yourself. And yes, it is very primitive by today's standards, but certainly a lot better than just one page with nothing to click on and just a picture on it with dates and times, and that's it. So I just wanted to make that a little bit of defense. Can't take it out of context of the history and the time. So the advertising for the event of Halloween Horror Nights Islands of Fear emphasized the fact that it was no longer at Universal Studios Orlando, but at Islands of Adventure, which was part of the selling point. This is, it's at a totally new theme park. It's almost like a whole new thing now. And of course, they also wanted to make sure people knew where it was, because it would be kind of annoying if people showed up at the wrong park. I am certain that there were guests who showed up at the wrong park. From my years working at Walt Disney World as a cast member, I know that there is a certain guest mentality. A lot of people fly to Florida, and the moment they step off the plane at MCO or that other place in Sanford, the moment they step off the plane, brain goes away, and they are a guest tourist now. I don't mean to by any means insult the mentally challenged by comparing them to Florida tourists. That's really not fair to the mentally challenged. Anyway, the questions I have been asked. Anyone who has worked in the theme park industry knows what I'm talking about, and know that they've been asked some whopping questions that are just damn silly. But this is not the time or place for that, I guess. But I know somebody showed up at Universal Studios Orlando, in spite of all the signs pointing to the other parks, saying, "Is Halloween Horror Nights here tonight? How do I get in?" Or even bought a day ticket expecting to stay and scream. I just know that. The advertising, though, emphasized it, and of course featured the character of the caretaker, and was featured prominently on billboards and television, where they had some wonderful black and white vignettes with the caretaker, which are available on YouTube, so go find those. They're quite nice. And also, of course, I have here the t-shirt for that year, which I purchased. And I think I've shown this t-shirt in a different video back when I talked about icons, and of course it's backwards. But it says, "Your time has come," which was the caretaker's catchphrase. It says here, Halloween Horror Nights, note, new font. New park, new font. The old drippy, kind of, arched, drippy, creepy, old-fashioned horror movie, comic book type font that they had before was now replaced with this new, rather ghostly-looking font, which I think they still use to this day. And it says Halloween Horror Nights underneath Universal's Island Adventure. They didn't emphasize this was 12. They didn't have Halloween Horror Nights 12. They just had Halloween Horror Nights Islands of Adventure. I think in the back of their mind they were thinking of starting it over again at Islands of Adventure, so maybe this is the first one at Islands of Adventure. It's not the 12th one at Universal Studios Florida. That might have been in their mind, I don't know. Here, of course, is the reverse, where they had the beautiful picture of Albert Kane's scary face underneath Halloween Horror Nights, Islands of Fear, 2002. So that was the thing. They had Islands of Adventure on the front, just to emphasize where it was, and on the back, Islands of Fear, 2002. Now, I talked about how Cindy was supposed to be the original icon for the event and why that didn't happen in the previous video. So, I had recently had a wonderful opportunity to see some of the promotional artwork for that, the original promotional artwork, and that was presented at the VIP Lounge in one of the many wonderful informative sessions that have helped me in these videos to some degree, that were presented by A&D during Halloween Horror Nights 20. And it was essentially the same design as this, except it was Cindy's face at the top. And it was Cindy's face with a sort of, again, it was the original porcelain doll look of Cindy. So there was like the girl was wearing this kind of, not motionless, kind of creepy doll-like face that was staring over the silhouettes of the landmarks of Islands of Adventure, because that's what we see here if you look carefully. Again, it's in reverse, but kind of hard to see here, but this is the Hulk coaster over here, these loops and things. Then, of course, you have Dr. Doom's Free Fall, and these, I think, are the buildings that are located, I can't quite tell in the silhouette, but I think those are buildings that are located at the beginning of port of entry, and of course the big watchtower. And here's a gargoyle for some reason. Maybe it's a dragon from Dooling's Dragons. These might be buildings in the park, like Jurassic Park. There's that one building that's sort of that kind of a shape. That might be what that is. But anyway, it's the idea is you have these buildings, and those were also originally in the T-shirt and the advertising designs for with Cindy, but it was Cindy's face looking over the Islands of Adventure. Another notice. This is a small. In 2002, I had, for over a year, been dieting and exercising and getting myself into shape because I was 39 years old, and maybe it was a midlife crisis, I don't know, but I wanted to get into better shape again, and I managed to drop down to 168 pounds. I hadn't weighed that much since I had been in my 20s, and I felt really good. I was in good shape, I was healthy, running around like a kid again. I felt really good about myself. Of course, over the years, I put the middle-age spread back on much more than it had been before. Ugh. Oh, I've got to wear this to cover up my man boobs, because it's embarrassing. But actually, if you go, you can see what I look like in 2002 right here on YouTube, because on my channel, I have a little, the little avatar on my channel is a picture of myself on Halloween in the year 2002 wearing a costume at the Adventurers Club. I was working there that night, and I wore a costume that was actually a real authentic uniform worn by an Italian duke in the 19th century. People were saying, "Are you wearing an antique?" Because I'm mad that way. But I could fit into it because I had slimmed down, because those were skinny little Italian guy, and I was able to wear his clothes and look good in it. And so I was able to buy a small T-shirt and fit into it back in 2002. Never have I ever gotten a small T-shirt again, because by the next year I'd already put on a little bit of weight, and since then I put on a lot of weight. Maybe it's a good idea for me to do that again now, because it's just for my health and everything, well-being, to diet and exercise yet again. But that's a long digression for what I'm supposed to be talking about something else here. So let's go back to Halloween Horror Nights, shall we? Yes. So let's get back to 2002. That night, that year, the event expanded. Not only did it move to another theme park, it was the longest Halloween Horror Nights yet. You may recall that I've mentioned this before, but that we went from 3 nights in 1991, then it was 5 nights for a couple of years, and up to 8 nights, and then up to 12 nights, and 15 nights, 18 nights, and in 1998 it was 19 nights, and it stayed that way for 5 years, right? Let's see, 98, 99, 98, 99, 2000. No, for 4 years it was 19 nights, for 4 years. But then in 2002, they pushed it up a couple more nights. Now it was 21 nights. It had never been that long before. 21 nights. That's 3 whole weeks, altogether. But of course it was spread out over the month of October, and once more, as it had the previous year, it extended past Halloween night into November, to November 2nd, I believe. So we had the longest Halloween Horror Nights yet, and it was at the Islands of Adventure, and part of the idea was to have each of the Islands of Adventure become an island of fear, and so each island, each location in that theme park was switched up, twisted, a reverse evil mirror image, antimatter, whatever you want to think or call it. It was turned into its Mr. Hyde from its normal daytime Dr. Jekyll form and became an evil island of fear. So let's go over these, shall we? To begin with, the port of entry, that nice area. You enter Islands of Adventure, and it's sort of like being in a fantasy world. It's sort of like the Middle East, but it might be Narnia. I mean, it could be anywhere. It's all different ports of call around the world, sort of in one place, and you have all sorts of interesting shops and restaurants, all in that that weird place. And gosh, I'm running out of time already. That's what I get for talking about being fat.